50 fun and interesting facts about Europe. What do you think? Shall we learn something new? Yes, we shall.
In the northern and eastern. Europe is a continent located entirely in the northern and eastern hemisphere. It is a continent of snow, sun, sea, castles and funny accents. It is rich in culture.
Who you calling funny accents? Who you call funny accent? Why Italy was highlighted over there?
And history. So in this video, we've created a list of 50 fun facts about this continent. Some interesting, some random, and some completely bizarre. Let us know in the comments which ones you already knew and which ones surprised you, because my name's Sam and you're watching the Geography Bible. Number 1. Moscow, Istanbul and London are the three most populated cities in Europe by urban area, with 17.7, 15.3 and 11.2 million respectively. By city limits population, however, Istanbul is the most populated, followed by Moscow and then London, with 15.3, 12.5 and 9 respectively. Number 2. The tallest building in Europe is in St. Petersburg in Russia, soaring into the sky like a glass shard. The Lakta Center is a whopping 460 meters in height. There are 87 stories in total. For reference, it is not far off half the size of the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. Number 3. English is the most spoken language on the continent, with 51% of the population being able to speak it as a first or second language. German comes in second at 32%, and then French third at 26%. Number 4. Russia is the most populated country in Europe, as more than half of Russia's population is found in its European section, around 110 million in total. However, as mentioned earlier, Russia of course spans across Europe and Asia, which is called Eurasia. For the country with the highest population that is purely in Europe, it will be Germany. At just under 84 million. Number 5. The geographical center point of Europe is a village named Pernuskes in Lithuania, located roughly 26 kilometers from its capital, Vilnius. Number 6. Europe is the second smallest continent in size at just over 10 million kilometers squared, making it just larger than the United States, but just a third of the size of the continent of Africa. Number 7. Despite the continent being the second smallest by area, it has the third largest population, with around 748 million people. Number 8. Europe is entirely in the northern hemisphere, and most of the continent's landmass is in the eastern hemisphere. This is quite ironic, as the continent, along with America, is often referred to as the West. Number 9. North Cape is the most northern point on the European landmass. Punta de Tarifa in Spain is the most southern point. Cabo da Roca in Portugal is the most western point, and finally the most eastern point is actually undecided and is different depending on your definition of European borders. It lies somewhere in the Ural watershed. Number 10. European mammal fauna consists of 270 species, 78 of them endemic to Europe.
Oh, lynx looks so cool.
Are threatened with extinction, and 27% have been identified as declining. Number 11. The most expensive house in Europe, and in fact the world, is Buckingham Palace, valued at just under $3 billion. It comprises of 775 rooms.
Been there last year. I mean, I didn't rent a room. I wasn't invited in, but I've been there outside the gate.
78 bathrooms, 92 offices, and 19 staterooms.
That's
Number
crazy.
12. At 19.5 million, London was the most visited city in Europe in 2019, pre-pandemic, making it the third most visited city in the world, behind Hong Kong and Bangkok. Number 13.
Really? I always thought Paris was the most visited city in the world.
Three largest countries in Europe are Russia, Ukraine, and France. The part of Russia that is found in Europe is bigger than any other country on the continent. Number 14. The smallest country in Europe, and in fact the world, is the Vatican City. It is the smallest both by land area and population. Number 15. Norway has
Wait, let me check the map of...
It is the smallest.
It really looks so cool. It really looks so cool, the Vatican. I've been there a couple of years ago, but I didn't went in because there was a line that was, I don't know, it was so hot that they was like, almost 40 degrees and there was a line that was infinite. So I didn't want to stand in the sun for too long. I was like, whatever, I've been there. One more country, yeah.
It's both by land area and population. Number 15. Norway has 83,000 kilometers of coastline, the longest coastline in Europe and the second longest in the world, only behind Canada. Number 16. There are 24 official languages in Europe, but more like 200 languages that are actually spoken around the continent. Number 17. In 2019, 7 of the top 10 most visited tourist attractions in the world were in Europe, the most visited being the Colosseum in Rome at 7.4 million visitors. Number 18. Liechtenstein, the 4th smallest country in Europe, does not have an airport. It is also a double landlocked country, meaning
I always wanted to visit Liechtenstein. Actually, it's not that far away from where I live. I think it's just like 2 hours and a half or 3 hours. But
it's landlocked, and the countries surrounding it are also landlocked.
It's so expensive though.
Although Europe has just over 10% of the world's population, it is responsible for a quarter of the world's GDP, roughly 23.5 trillion US dollars. If Europe was a single country,
let's go Europe!
They'd have the highest GDP in the world, placing them only slightly ahead of the United States. Number 20. Again, if Europe was a single country, it would be the 3rd most populated in the world, behind China and India. Remarkably, it would have roughly half of the population of both of these countries. Number 21. Now, this one really did take me by surprise. Kazakhstan is partially in Europe. It is a transcontinental country that sits.
Bro, you never watched the Euro Cup or the World Cup qualification. Kazakhstan plays for Europe. I mean, even in Champions League, they have Kazakh teams. Come on, how can it that? I mean, every man should know this stuff, you know? If you're a man and you follow football, you should know. You're British, you should know.
It's nicely in Central Asia, but as it's so large, it stretches across to Eastern Europe, where around 10% of its population live. Number 22. There is a rainforest in Europe. Yes, Europe's climate allows for rainforests.
What is that?
One of the last remaining is Perukica in Bosnia. The 3,500-acre forest is a reserve of UNESCO's World Heritage
that
List.
is so
Number
cool.
23. 10 villages in Scandinavia have the shortest city or town names in Europe, just one letter long. The city name, which means small brook or river in all Scandinavian languages, is found 9 times through the countries. Number 24.
That is so
there
cool.
are more bicycles than people in the Netherlands. Cycling is so popular in the Netherlands that 84% of all Dutch own at least one bicycle. With 22.3 million bicycles in the country for its 17 million residents, bike traffic and congestion is actually becoming a problem. Number 25. Monaco has the highest life expectancy not just in Europe but the entire world. Maybe it's because of Monaco's beautiful sun-drenched location along the French Riviera. Maybe it's because...
Yeah, maybe it's because they're all fucking rich.
the popularity of the Mediterranean diet, found to be one of the healthiest in the world. In any case, the people of Monaco live on average to be 89.4 years.
Yeah, but who's the people of Monaco? Who's the people of Monaco? How many people is actually from Monaco living on Monaco? And I'm not trying to hate. I know that Monaco has a very interesting story. But how many people are actually from Monaco? I mean, most of the people, I think they will just get the residence there to avoid paying taxes, no?
The highest not just in Europe, but the entire world. Number 26. Now, which company do you think has the highest value in Europe? It must be one of Germany's car companies like Volkswagen, right? Nope, it's LVMH, or Louis Vuitton as it's more commonly known. It is the most valuable company on the continent, at a market cap of around 350 billion US dollars. LVMH controls around 60 subsidiaries that each manage a small number of prestigious brands. Number 27. Now, Europe isn't really known for its tall skyscrapers. It is more of a continent filled with ruins and castles. The city in Europe with the most skyscrapers belongs to Moscow at 65, placing them 29th highest in the world. Number 28. Heathrow Airport in London is the busiest airport on the continent. Pre-pandemic in 2019, nearly 81 million passengers passed through. However, Heathrow was dethroned in 2020 and 2021 by Istanbul Airport, which actually opened in 2019. Number 29. Iceland is the least densely populated country in Europe,
Wow,
at
looks
just
so
3 people
cool.
per kilometers squared. However, the majority of the country live in its capital, Reykjavik, which has a population density of 480 people per kilometers squared. Number 30. According to Visual Capitalist's estimations, London is the city with the highest GDP in Europe at around $1 trillion, placing them
That's
fifth in the
crazy.
world and just above Paris. Number 31. Europe is home to the deadliest and longest war in recorded history. World War II at around 80 million deaths, and Reconquista at around 781 years. The Reconquista was a period in the history of the Iberian Peninsula of about 780 years of war between Spanish Christians and Muslims. Number 30.
Yes, and the year when Christopher Columbus discovered America was the year that they finally get rid of the Islamic governments and the Christians take over, and then the Spanish Inquisition and all kinds of shit that happened. So yeah, it's a very important day though. It's easy to remember because it's the same year that Christopher Columbus discovered America.
32. On the 11th of August 2021, Sicily in Italy recorded the highest ever temperature in Europe at
Ooh.
48.
What year?
Sicily in Italy. Number 32. On the 11th of August 2021, Sicily in Italy.
That is not true at all. I've been to Sicily in 2005 or 2006, I think. And one day it was like 51 or 52 degrees. I still remember it. I went out to take a phone call from my parents. They were calling me. I stayed outside under the sun for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then I got a headache. So let me search it. Come on, this guy is saying bullshit. That's not true. It was 52 degrees that day. Wait. Highest temperature ever. Oh my god. Oh, highest temperature ever recorded. I remember it was 52. What the fuck? Maybe they were lying to me. They were lying to me. I don't believe it. No, I don't trust it. I lived it. I remember it was hell. I even saw the guy, what is his name? The one in the Divine Comedy that takes you to hell with the boat.
Recorded the highest ever temperature in Europe at 48.8 degrees Celsius or 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 33. And on the other end of the spectrum, the lowest temperature ever recorded in Europe was minus 58.1 degrees Celsius or minus 72.6 degrees.
Yeah, but that one counts as Europe. Come on. What is use sugar? That must be like in Siberia. That's not part of Europe anymore. Wait. Oh me, what is the yeah, northeastern Russia. How do you count that as Europe? Come on, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I can understand you call Russia Europe when you talk about Moscow or St. Petersburg because they are on the more on the European side, but that's in Siberia. That's pretty much Asia. Come on.
Fahrenheit in Russia. Number 34. According to the
That doesn't
Economist
count.
Intelligent Unit ranking, Zurich is the most livable city in Europe and the 7th most livable in the world. Number 35. At around 75% in 2021, Norway is the country with the highest share of plug-in electric car sales in Europe. For reference,
Wow.
Iceland comes in second at
Even
45%.
Finland is pretty high.
Number 36. Just one of the world's 7 wonders of the world is found in Europe, the Colosseum, located in Rome, Italy. Likewise, just one of the world's 7 natural wonders is also located in Europe. And technically, it isn't even Europe, it's in space. It is the Northern Lights, or the Aurora Borealis. Number
Wow, that must
37.
be so cool.
The richest country on the continent when measuring GDP or economy size goes to Germany at around 4.2 trillion US dollars, placing them 4th in the world. Number 38. When it comes to GDP per capita, however, Liechtenstein is the richest in Europe and in fact the world. In 2020, the United Nations estimated this value to be around 180,000 US dollars. Number 39. The country with the most Nobel Prizes in Europe belongs to the UK at 138. It must be noted, however, that Frederick Sanger received this prestigious award twice for his work in chemistry. Number 40. The top 3 countries in the world with the most islands are all in Europe, and they are all in fact Nordic countries and neighbours. This is Sweden, Norway and Finland. They have 268,000,
so cool.
239,000 and 179,000 islands each, respectively. Number 41.
So much.
At 136, Germany has the most billionaires in Europe. Per 2 million people, there are roughly 3 billionaires. To put this in perspective, the US is the country with the most billionaires at 724 and 3.9 billionaires per 2 million people. Number 42. Germany not only excels in wealth, it plays pretty good football too, or soccer depending on where you're from. With a total of 4 World Cup wins, the Germans have the equal most World Cup trophies in Europe, tying with Italy. However, Germany have 4 runners-up medals compared to Italy's 2. Number 43. Excluding Russia.
Okay, it's better not to lose the final. I'm okay with only 2 losses in the final. It's much better than 4. I mean, being a Juventus fan, I know how it feels to lose each final. I think we got like 8 finals and only won twice the Champions League. So yeah, it's much better not to get to the final than lose it.
Germany is the highest CO2 emitting country in Europe. Its CO2 emissions are estimated to be around 800 million tons, making them the 6th highest emitter in the world. For reference, the UK is the 17th highest emitter at around 370 million tons, so more than half. Number 44. At 3,790 kilometers, the Volga River is the longest river and the 16th longest in the world. Situated in Russia, it flows through central Russia to southern Russia and into the Caspian Sea. Number 45. Camp Nou, Barcelona FC's football or soccer stadium, is the highest capacity stadium in Europe at just under 100,000. Although this stadium is unbelievably huge and impressive, it still does not feature in the top 10 in the world.
Bro, what? Look at this one in India, 132k. Pyongyang in North Korea, 114k. I mean, I don't think they will have like an outsiders place for outsiders to sit down in there.
Unbelievably huge and impressive, it still does not feature in the top 10 in the world. Number 46. Germans sure do love a museum. At 6,741, Germany has by far the most museums in Europe, the second most in the world, only to the US, who have a mind-boggling 33,000.
That's a lot.
At around 34%, Apple just beats Samsung at being the smartphone vendor with the highest market share across the European continent. The UK is the country with the highest market share of Apple users at 53%. Number 48. The euro is the official currency of 19 of the 27 member states of the European Union. It is classed as the second most of the 27 member states.
19 out of 27, okay.
Of the European Union. It is classed as the second most important currency in the world, only behind the US dollar. Number 49. Spread across 52 acres and located
the one in Poland.
Malbork Castle is the largest castle in Europe and of course the world. It is also considered the largest brick structure ever built with human hands.
So cool.
And finally, number 50. Bulgaria is the oldest country in Europe and the only country that has not changed its name since it was first established. Kosovo, on the other hand, is the youngest country in Europe. While Serbia and a handful of other countries such as Russia and China do not recognize Kosovo's independence, the International Court of Justice ruled that Kosovo is a sovereign nation in 2010. So there we have it, 50 fun facts about Europe. Did any of these catch you out or take you by surprise? Let us know in the comments below.
Sure.
If you enjoyed the video, please feel free.
I didn't know the last one about Bulgaria, gotta be honest. I didn't know most of these facts. They were really interesting, even though it's so annoying the fact about Russia when they speak about Russia, but the eastern part. They're talking about Europe, talk about the European part of Russia only. That was really interesting though. I really enjoyed this video. So if you want me to check out more stuff about Europe, to learn more about our beautiful continent, I'm saying our, if you're not from Europe, then this beautiful continent, let me just know down in the comments which video and I will check it out very soon. See ya!